After describing his complete rejection by society, the psalmist shifts to his lifelong relationship with God. This transition reveals how believers anchor themselves in God's past faithfulness during life's storms. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Psalm 22, 9-11. The word but creates another dramatic contrast. While people mock and reject him, God has been faithful since birth. This opposition between human cruelty and divine care provides the foundation for continued trust. Thou art he that took me out of the womb acknowledges God's role in birth itself. The phrase "took me out" suggests active divine involvement rather than natural process alone. God delivered the psalmist from his mother's womb into life. This truth applies to every believer. Jeremiah 1:5 confirms God's involvement before birth. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. The phrase, thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts, describes God's care during infancy. Even before conscious faith developed, God created trust in the nursing child. Contemporary believers can trace God's faithfulness back to their earliest memories. Parents who provided food, shelter, and love served as God's instruments of care. Even difficult childhoods contain evidence of divine protection and provision. The expression, I was cast upon thee from the womb, uses the image of throwing or placing something onto another. The passive voice suggests the psalmist had no choice in his dependence. God became his support from the moment of birth. This casting onto God parallels 1 Peter 5:7. Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Thou art my God from my mother's belly extends the relationship even further. Before birth, while still in the womb, God claimed ownership of David. The possessive my God reveals a personal relationship rather than just general providence. This prenatal relationship appears throughout Scripture. Psalm 139, 13-14 describes God's involvement in fetal development. For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. The appeal, be not far from me, flows from this lifelong relationship. Since God has been present from conception through adulthood, his absence now would break the pattern of constant care. For trouble is near explains the urgency of this request. The word near suggests imminent danger rather than distant threats. Present circumstances demand immediate divine intervention. For there is none to help reveals complete human abandonment. The phrase none to help emphasizes total isolation from human help. Believers must rely on God's faithfulness. This combination of lifelong divine care and present human abandonment creates the perfect context for faith. Believers learn to trace God's faithfulness throughout their entire lives, even when current circumstances seem hopeless. These verses encourage believers to remember God's past faithfulness during present trials. Parents should teach children to recognize God's care from their earliest years. This foundation strengthens faith when adult challenges arise. The passage also comforts believers facing isolation. When human helpers disappear, God's faithfulness remains constant. His care extends from conception through every crisis we might face.